long we'll talk about it, but I feel like it's an interesting concept to talk about because I notice a lot when we're making decks that there's a lot of cards that we cut recently, like cards that we just kind of throw in there like just at first glance and like, just constantly end up cutting them recently. Like,
Sunbird's Evocation.
yeah, Sunbird's Invocation, like Thran Dynamo, like, cards like that. And I wanted to have like a mini conversation about how much like Commander has changed in the past 5 years and like certain cards that like we used to play a lot more and a lot of people used to play a lot more, but like now they just kind of do whatever. Even
Mm.
commanders too that we can talk about, like certain commanders that used to be like the boogeymans of the format, and now like you look at like Tulane and you're like, wow, how did I ever think Kalia was a problem?
Yep.
I'm like, how did I ever fear Kalia?
Well, because they had Iona back in the day.
Even then, even now, like I don't care. Like even if they had it again.
Well,
Also,
like if I play a lot of mono decks, so I
mhm.
would still care because like getting Iona locked, I'm no longer like that makes me
No, I
terrified
get
of.
that it's a salty card, but I'm like, I still don't. Even if they had Iona back, I'm still more scared of Tulane than I am of Kess. I'm not saying Iona's not a problem. I'm not saying they should unban Iona. What I'm saying is, like, even with what it was back then, before any kind of bannings or anything, like I'm not as afraid of it anymore. You know?
I also think like we've also had really like our increase in our removal spell. So like look at our like so we have Bedevil we got added. Disallow is a newer card. We have like the flip cards. Like I think our removal and like dealing with stuff package also just our and
One-sided board wipes.
like like where's do you have our list of just our playable cards that we like? We could just look at that and like talk
Oh
about
yeah,
stuff.
isn't that should be over here somewhere, right?
It was the Atog. There it is. Guild Guide packages.
Oh, oh god, this is probably gonna take a while.
Yeah, just let it sit for a second. There you go. Damn.
Eh!
Yep, it tried. It was there for a second.
And we haven't even updated this. I'm sure I left my deck somewhere. Okay. Oh god. Oh god. It's so laggy. Holy crap. But yeah. Wow, this is only 4,000?
Only
Wow.
for 400 cards.
It's
I
kind
mean,
of
yeah,
funny. It's kind of funny.
averaging $10 a card.
Wow, look at the salt sum.
Amazing.
191%.
Well, also when you have that many cards, it adds up.
So, yeah. So what did we do our like that's recursion removal. So like you look at removal and it's like we have just anguish unmaking,
That
every
wasn't that
counter
old.
spell under the sun,
Archmage
Ash
Assassin's Trophy.
Trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you look at a card like Assassin's Trophy, and then you look at a card that costs one more mana than Assassin's Trophy, Mutilate, and you can see the difference in power. Where Assassin's Trophy is like, ha, I deal with anything.
hmm
But Mutilates, but you give them a land. I'm like, it's better than a land getting rid of a problem.
Deadly Rollick.
We get the free counterspell removals. D-Spark is kind of cool.
Dovin's Veto.
Dovin's Veto is ridiculous.
hmm
Oh, Dress Down is kind of interesting.
Feed the Swarm. That's a big
That's
one.
right. Yeah,
Fierce
Black now has a way to
Guardianship.
deal with enchantments.
Same with this. This was huge. I love Generous Gift. This is so
Also,
good.
also thinking that also reminded me thinking of like stuff where like, okay,
Oh, this is so good.
we're playing
Heliod's
against like the
Intervention.
team. Imagine playing Shoelane where you get to run like counter spells and Teferi's Protection and Heroic Intervention. It's like, try to mess with me, please.
Yeah, honestly. Probably don't even need Heroic Intervention. You just play counter spells. Infernal Grasp, another great one. Kenrich Transformation.
Yep.
Which I've been liking these more and more. Like these effects just end up being better a lot of the time because some creatures just have too many keywords, and it's like same thing with commanders. Sometimes it's just better to shut them off and just not give it to them.
Oh, I felt so bad for Mike. I didn't really.
Same
Because
thing
he
with
was playing.
this Oubliate.
Yeah.
Like that's a
Like, because he was about to play True Lane, and Kyle did the what was it called? The thing with the shark on it that makes it a creature in play instead.
Mystic Confluence.
No, it's not Confluence. But you know what I'm talking about that has Foretell.
Mystic. Oh yes, I do know exactly what you're talking about.
But yeah, so like he hit him with that, and like it just sucks. Now your commander, like you can't put it back to the command zone because it's still in play. It's
So
just
yeah,
another creature now.
I'm so half and half on that card because I think in some decks it's really good and in others it's just not. And I think at the CDH level, it really depends on your pod if you can play that card. Because like my current pod with Jake, it's not good. Like, because a lot of the creatures are legendary, which you can't even target. And then a lot of the time, like in CDH, you don't want to give them a good creature. Because a lot of the time. Oh. Right.
Oh yeah, get out of here, you trash.
Uh,
Trash, make trashy trash.
a lot of the time, like, their creatures, like, I had to give a Notion Thief once.
Rip.
Which is just bunts.
Guess if you're like some of the old Sultai lists, because you're on so many mana dorks, like you're like, I'm gonna give you an elf.
Yeah, yes. But like,
But
yeah, exactly. So like things like that. But I think that card's so half and half, but man, when it happens, it sucks.
Like I think if you're playing Tim the Thrasios, where you're like running a bunch of elves.
Yeah, well, I was playing like 12, not just elves, but like, I was playing like 13 creatures that tap for mana.
Yeah, so like, that's not like
because I also play Gaia's Cradle. Yeah.
So like giving them mana source is like cool, like it's like an additional lamp, but like it's still better than like you having your commander, which you can win with.
Mm-hmm. But you can't even target legendaries is the thing. So like, that's the problem in commanders sometimes is you can't target the commanders. So like
Oh yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like when you're like a deck that just runs a bunch of dorks, you make their commander a dork instead.
Oh yeah, and it sucks. Yeah, but if you don't have that player in your pod or you aren't that player, then sometimes it just doesn't work.
I think you play it in your deck only if your deck has the power to do it. I wouldn't run it if you're like, I run 3 creatures in my deck, then I wouldn't run it.
Yeah, because Mike's playing that in Fibblethit, and I'm like, you're only playing one creature in Fibblethit. I'm like, I understand that this card can be so gas sometimes, but like, also I always forget that it can do it to a Planeswalker too. Like I always forget that.
I think in my Massacre list, like we were running a bunch of creatures in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit more safe for me to play it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I totally agree. But yeah, so Murderous Rider, Misty Confluence, Narcissus Reversal, that's a good new one.
Mm-hmm.
Obliate got a reprint, now everybody can play it. Mm-hmm. Path, Pongify, Putrefy, Reality Shift, look, Resculpt. There's even so many that Mono Blue can play now. Like, it's just so good.
Also, return like all the nice return of natures with multiple things. Sublime Epiphany.
What a card.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. Unwind, Vindicate.
God, I saw the most beautiful, I repeat, the most beautiful Sublime Epiphany where he was playing against, I forgot who he was playing against, but the guy, it was a little bit, on Arena, it was a little bit a while ago when, in like a standard format where the guy goes like the Hydroid Crassus for like 10, and he goes, hey, counter spell, it's a cast ability, counter the triggered ability, I'm going to return, I forgot what he had him play, it was like a good Simic card, it was Oro, so I'm going to put Oro back into your hand, I'm going to make a copy of a Coma Coil, and I'm going to draw a card where he hit all of them, and it just is like, oh, it feels so good.
That's gross. But yeah, so also thank you to like the 8 people watching right now, we appreciate it. So we're just talking about like, how commanders change over the past 5 years. So a couple cards that I can think about. So we talked about Thran Dynamo. We cut that card a lot. That card gets cut a lot. Same thing with Chaos Warp too. Like, I like Chaos Warp in certain colors that doesn't have better options, but like now we have better options. And a lot of the time we've learned, Derek, that like, man, a counterspell is just so much better 90% of the time if you have the ability to. Like, or just like protection. Because what you're doing a lot of the time in commander games is so broken nowadays that protecting what you're doing is a topper priority than like actually interacting with your opponent. Depending on the deck you're playing, obviously. If you're playing like a herp derp kind of deck, otherwise you need to interact with your opponent. You still need to play like a couple interaction spells, if you have the ability to. Like even in my Gishat Death, I still play like 5 interaction spells or something like that, and then like a million ways to protect him.
Oh,
One of them being a Chroma's Will, which, oh my god, what a card! This
Yeah.
card is ridiculous.
Look at its price going up too.
Yeah, because this card's cracked. This card is a game winner. This card ends games. This says unblockable. I'm going to gain 1 trillion life. Protection from everything. Indestructible. You don't have to tap them, so you can't get a crackback. Like, what is this card? In what universe did they think it would be hard to have your commander out? And a 4-mana instant. 4-mana instant ends the game. I have lost to this card so many times now. And this is not something that would have worked as well back then. Because the ramp has got fixed a lot more. With the addition of Arcane Signet, the Talismans, Thought Vessel, like, just...
Also getting easy reprints of... have you seen the price of 3 visits in Nature's Lore?
Oh, yeah, they're like $4. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But even,
right there.
but even so, it used to be 200, Derek. So, could play it a little less,
Yeah. What I'm saying is, like, we have those now. There's easy access to, like, for ramp decks.
Yeah, and like I read a card like this, right? And I'm like, man, this is so good, right? It does like a million things. It makes mana, it plays things for free. And like we didn't have anything like this back then. Like the one commander that we had like this was the Naya one that only puts big boys into play. And then we had Joyra, the suspend one. Like if we're going back before 5 years ago, right? We had the suspend one that you used to play, that both you and Philly used to play. We had Kalia who cheated things out, right? And that was it. And then you had to ramp everything, and the ramp wasn't as amazing back then. People didn't play every 2-mana mana rock in the sun now, because that's all you really need. Because it's easier. Like the ramp has just gotten better, much better.
Also, like if you want to talk about, so in the past 2 years, the most popular commanders. We have Atraxa, a new one. Kenrith, a new one. Korvold, a new one. Yuriko, that was a new one. Edgar Markov was a few years ago. Muldrotha, the Ur-Dragon. Tisay from Modern Horizons 1. Alila, like Marin that's getting a little bit older, but
Marin's older.
Recently.
Yeah, Marin's definitely past 5 years, I think.
Yorok is from Core 20, so that's only 2 years ago.
Well, Yorok is disgusting.
Kalia is one of like another older one. Then Marchesa, which is another kind of older one, the Monarch. But then Tulane, Niv Mizzet. Then Kess, which is another old one. And Kyle. Now we're starting to get into like... But then like we're going to look at this Breya, Zraxar, Teysa Karlov, Arcades, Gishath, Anawan, which is that new rogue, Feather, Lord Windgrace, Prosper. Then Animar, who's an old one. Then Nagila, which is a new one. Like the top list, like all the new popular commanders are like all new ones. Because I think the thing is, a lot of these though are like commander cards themselves, except for maybe a few of them, where like they are built as commanders. Where like Gishath, even though he wasn't built as a commander, like he definitely plays like one.
Oh, totally. And like you think of like a card like this, like Godo, right? Who's older? Like it's not that it doesn't do its job. Like what it's trying to do, right? But like there's just new, more exciting cards, Like I read Sfella and I'm like, man, there's like so much you could do with this card. Like I'm like, this is such a fun card and it does a lot. Like for 3 mana. Like is where this is linear and like, just kind of does whatever. Like the old decks kind of did. Like it's not that they wouldn't work nowadays, but like, man, you read like Muldrotha and you're like, what in God's name is this? This is ridiculous. Like, even all the new ultimatums, like, a lot of these newer cards are just so good. Like...
I forgot Dance of the Manse. Like,
yeah, Balligate Recovery, that's ridiculous.
Or Second Sunrise.
The new ultimatums. Yeah. I mean, Seasons Past is not that old.
That's what I was thinking about. Seasons Past, not Second Sunrise. Seasons Past.
Like Journey to Eternity, like all these cards from, like, Ixalan and around that era. Ravnica, Like, just solid. Like, oh, man, Mystic Sanctuary. Whew. That's a card.
Yeah.
What a card.
So it's funny if you look at like the top most played cards in Commander for the past 2 years. It's Soul Ring, Swords of Plowshare, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 ramp spells. Cyclonic Rift, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ramp spells. Smothering Tithe, a ramp spell, Path to Exile, ramp, then Rhystic Study. Like Rhystic Study is like the first real card that isn't removal or ramp in the top most played cards.
Yeah, because everybody plays them is the thing. That's why.
So it's ramp, but I like how Smothering Tithe hit like the one of the most played cards, and it's from like the not that long ago. Then it's like
Ravnica.
Rhystic Study,
Yep.
Demonic Tutor, Chaos Warp. And then we start to hit Dovin's Veto, Assassin's Trophy, Anguish Unmaking, Heroic Intervention, Rhythm
All
of the
new.
Wild,
All new.
D-Spark, Growth Spiral.
All new.
Generous Gift is up there. Generous
See,
Gift is
I
about
don't even
there,
like
too.
Growth Spiral. Why do people like that card so much?
I think that they just like the draw. It's still a 2-mana draw card, and
I'm
maybe ramp.
I'm not a fan of like cards that put lands into play like that.
No, neither am I. I prefer playing them if I can.
Yeah.
Like, I have my one commander that does it, but like it's still just 4-mana draw a card on a body that I could keep activating if I have.
But that's different because you can keep doing it. I mean, like a one time, like, okay, I'm drawing a card and putting a land into play. Like, I don't like that. Like, I play Explorer in Paco Haldan only because it draws a card and like is an instant sorcery deck, and I can play my opponent's lands. So like it gives me an additional land drop. I get it in that sense, but people play that card way too much. I think people play Growth Spiral and think like, man, cantripping a card and putting a land into play is godlike. And no, it's not. Like, cantrips aren't that good. I hate to break it to you guys. Kids, look at me. Cantrips are not that good.
It's the modern mindset, or like standard mindset, where like sometimes it gets you out of it, but you need to go bigger in Commander. Like
yeah, like you need fact or fiction, deep analysis. You know, like we could just you know, like these kind of cards that are just constantly doing it. Like we don't like
because you want more than once.
Yeah, we do not like
because Baleful Strix is only one drop, but he also is a good body.
But and like the X spells, like we're not big into cantrips. Like, you know, things that you can blink or do multiple times like lame. This. Like like we don't like that kind of stuff.
Because you realize like a lot of our single time draw is creatures, because creatures are recurable and reusable a lot easier.
Exactly.
Than like spells.
And in the right deck, spells work too. Oh my boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's so look at how pricey he's getting. I love Elder Gargaroth. He's so broken. Wait, this isn't draw. What is this?
I think we put it as like, oh, because that's recursion, isn't it? Maybe I got just stuck in the wrong thing. Oh, I saw 1,000. I was watching a bunch of old school, like modern games, like from like 6-7 years ago, like how different the format was. I saw this big brain play against Affinity, right? So the guy has the Master of Ethereum. It's like a 5. No, it's a 5/5, right? The guy swings, blocks with a 4. It's a 4/4. The guy blocks with a 4/4. The guy activates the the Blinkmoth Nexus to make it one bigger to kill the creature. Then the guy goes bolts the Blinkmoth to kill it. Now Master Ethereum is 1 power less with 4 damage on it, which also kills it. So he 2-for-1'd him he hit his land and killed the Master of Ethereum.
Rough.
And took off his infect. And like, oh dude, that was big.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you lost your 4/4, but getting rid of their 2 best cards, their infect flyer land and the Master of Ethereum, that's huge.
Yeah, that's a big hit. But like you look at these 2 cards and it's like,
oh, Esper Sentinel and Atali.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Garruk's Uprising. We're big on this card recently.
Yep.
Wait, what is this? Isn't supposed to be here. This should be in like protection or something.
Yeah, I think it was in the protection. Yeah.
But yeah, so like.
But these are all like recurring ways to get more cards into your hand over time, instead of just like one time. Got stupid.
Do we not have Return of the Wild Speaker in here?
It's alphabetical. Right. Yeah.
We didn't put Rishkar's. Oh yeah, Rishkar's.
Yep.
Oh,
I love Rishkar's. Seagate. I love Seagate so much.
Revelation. Yeah, this is all really good. There's so much good draw nowadays, like it's ridiculous. But yeah, like I look at cards that a lot of people used to play Cant Trips back then, and I don't like Cant Trips. I hate Brainstorm. I think it's a bad card in Commander. Like, I only play it in CDH. That's like the only deck that I play it in currently, and I don't even need to be playing it in there, to be honest.
Mm.
I'm just
I
playing.
think,
I'm playing the Cant Trips right now in there.
yeah, I realize like I'm not a huge fan of them unless they like it's something like Ponder where like you get to dig deeper and then potentially push them all away. But even at then, like it's just okay unless you have something that combos with it. Like if you're playing like Niv Mizzet because you draw off just casting them, so you get the additional draw, which makes them better. But that's just Niv Mizzet being Niv Mizzet.
No,
Also, dude, the other night, so I had the oh shit, what's it called? The Harmonic Prodigy in play, and I Sublime Epiphany and then made a copy of it. So that means every time I draw a card, he deals he triggers 2 additional times, so every draw is 3 damage. And anytime I draw and anytime I cast a spell, I draw 3 cards. It was oof. It was big oofs. And then I put Basilisk Collar on it and everybody scooped.
That's funny.
Because I'm like it's like, by the way, I have a way to draw 18 cards right now. And just machine gun the board and draw a bunch of and like kill everything and gain a bunch of life.
But yeah, like even look at like, you know, these creatures. Like Keeper, Goblin, Faber, Dockside.
Oh, Dockside, so I was looking at that past 2 years, so you know how popular like cards like Windfall and Mystic Remora are and stuff, right? Dockside's like more popular played than them. He's in 20% of all decks.
$80, $60, 20% of all decks. That's kind of ridiculous.
Or if you want, where Solemn is only in 18% of all decks. Sylvan Library, another expensive, great card. Cost less is on only 19% of decks.
Jeez.
Nature's Lore and 3 visits are decently high, but still lower than I would expect. But I guess just because it was hard to get a hold of some of them until recently. People really like the creature ramp, but I guess like depending on your list.
I'm never big into creature ramp unless it plays with the deck.
Yeah,
I prefer things that don't get killed. Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of logic. See, people didn't used to play like that either. Like everybody just played whatever. Like people played like so many people. Okay, like talking about ramp, Commander Sphere. That's a card that's fallen off really hard, right?
Yeah.
I barely play that. Unless I have some recursive way to use that, I think Commander Sphere is just bad now. I don't think people play it anymore. Like, I know we have it on the list, but it's just not. It's not good anymore. Same thing with Coalition Relic. Like, I don't think you need them anymore. Like Chromatic Chromatic Lantern's different, but like, you know.
I do like Coalition Relic for that one time where like you leave it open, and if you don't, you have like a little bit of acceleration on your turn. But then but then it only is accelerating if you also tap it for mana, and then you don't have to wait another round for it to go. But that one time burst is kind of cool without losing it, like for good. I forgot who I was playing against, but like they did a thing where okay, I'm gonna sack the Jeweled Lotus, and I'll play my commander, and I'm gonna kill spell your commander. Good. Now I hope you had fun playing it so early because you just lost 3 mana, and now it put you back. Like you basically went -5 mana to play it again because you lost your mana to put it out, and now it costs 2 more. And I get it can be good and where you could abuse it, and like you kind of get to go off on the turn it comes out, or like you're set up enough where like, okay, it doesn't cost a lot, but that's such a big risk with going into cards like that.
See, like this is the new hotness. What the hell? And this too.
Yeah.
Like, why is it? Why have our land bases gotten so good? Like 5-color decks feel like a joke nowadays. Like I feel like nobody ever has mana problems unless they just build their land base wrong.
Yeah, and because we also have tutorable triomes now on top of it.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, dude.
And it's so easy to have multicolored lands, and like, or depending on your strategy, like things that are like for like we have like Path of Ancestry for like tribal decks. You want to go 5-color tribal? It taps for any color.
Yeah, no, you're right. But yeah, like I look at cards like Warren Powerstone, and I'm like, it's not good anymore. Unstable Obelisk is not really good anymore. Like maybe if you're building budget, but like other than budget, like you just don't need them. Like people don't play Hedron Archive, right? Gilded
Mhm.
Lotus too. Like I'm starting to just get more into the 2 mana. I've only liked. I still play Gilded Lotus in my 2 decks that have really expensive cards, but other than that, like that's it. Like that have a high mana costed cards. I mean,
Mhm.
so like other than that, like I just don't think that like they're that good anymore. Like I don't think you need them because like I need a Toxic Deluge. By the way, do you have one that you're not
I
using?
do not.
Okay, I want to put one in my CDH deck. I cut Miscast for Grand Abolisher because that card's not fair. But yeah, so like,
Grand Abolisher, I hardly know her.
but yeah, those are like a lot of cards that we just don't like. Hedron Archive, Thran Dynamo, Warren Power Stone, like Commander Sphere. Like we just cut those so much now. Like we just don't want to play them anymore. Like the mana ramp is just better. Like even for monocolored decks, it's just better now.
Mm. And like even like stuff like Skyclave Relic is like kind of silly if you
Yeah.
actually get to kick it. Because like, okay, do I spend one more mana? Like here's the thing. Like, okay, let's look at like you said compared to like Gilded Lotus, right? So 5 mana adds 3 of any one color. Or I spend one more mana and get 3 mana rocks. Sure, I can't use them this turn, but now they each tap for a different color, and they're indestructible. And I saw someone on Arena try to Binding the Old Gods a Skyclave Relic. I'm like, oh, what are you doing?
Oh no.
It says indestructible. What are you doing?
That's an Apu Stingy.
And then I think he didn't realize what he did and thought maybe he clicked something else. So he Urion blinked it and tried it again, and it didn't work again. Like, did you not learn the first time? Oh, Tom, fun fact with Nyx Blue Mage that I was playing in that enchantment deck when I was playing around with it, I hit like Estrid's Invocation and Mirror Maid. And I'm like, that's an enchantment I want a copy of.
Ew.
So yeah, I think when I calculated out my the Sanctum Weavers tapped for 182 mana or 180 something mana.
Jesus, that's ridiculous.
Yep.
But yeah, like I don't know. And people aren't playing as many board wipes as they used to. Also, another card that's died, and I don't see people play the card at all. I have not gotten a cast on me, and I cannot tell you how long's the last time I actually saw the card. Since like probably we were at Nova. Like it was that long ago. Insurrection.
Oh yeah.
People just don't play that. That used to be like the boogeyman. Like I hated seeing that card.
Well, I also wonder because like I feel like people don't go on super wide strategies unless it's like token shenanigans, and if you're going like that wide, I think you're usually winning that turn. Unless you're playing like a tokeny Omnathy Reese deck or something. I don't know. Because stealing everything for a turn, things have gotten so like mana efficient, low to the ground, and not
You're right.
super powerful.
Because even like Gruul thick decks, like or Gruul big boys, like they're all so mana efficient and just all so good for the mana cost that they are. Like you look at Atali and you look at Svella and you look at Old Gnawbone, you look at Nyx Bloom Ancient, Zendikar Resurgent, like all these cards, like it's like what is going on here? Like why do they keep printing shit like this?
They're trying to make it more exciting for us to keep playing and wanting to buy new stuff.
Yeah.
But by doing that, they make a power curve where we have cards that like, okay, we have explosive vegetation. Well, you know what? Now we have explosive vegetation, but it now has cycling too, so it's even better.
Yeah, every old card that is decently bad, we upgraded it.
And then give it a couple sets. We're gonna get an instant speed explosive vegetation with cycling or exiles 3 cards from a graveyard. Let's add another effect to it.
No, seriously.
And the thing is, it doesn't. And the thing is, like cards like that, they don't make old cards obsolete. They just make them work even better together. Because now, like look how many 2-drop mana ramps that we have. We didn't stop playing the other ones when we got like 3 visits to us. We just put them all together because like cool. Now we have really efficient ways to get a lot of mana into play
for landfall decks. Yes, but
yep.
It's definitely different for mana rocks. Like now, I think people are being more selective. Like we're seeing more Felwar Stone. We're seeing more of the diamonds. Like people are just curving it too. Like they just want to curve it. They want to curve their ramp at 2 and maybe 3 for the better ones. Like if it's like a Kodama's Reach or like the really strong ones of the format. But like other than that, like ramping higher than that, like you almost don't need it. I'd rather just play like a mana doubler. You know,
like you made a good point. Like a lot of times when I see Thran Dynamo now, I'm just like, you know what? I'd rather just maybe make it an overflowing chalice because if I want to kick extra mana into it, or it's just a 2 mana one, like it's a Mind Stone.
yeah,
Because I don't
honestly.
really play that in like a monocolor deck where like colors don't really matter because I have like 2 of a color. I'm good.
I totally agree with you. Like it's just the way it is now. And Chromatic Lantern serves a different purpose. So like you need this sometimes. Like you're still gonna play it in 4 to 5 color decks. Even debatable in some 3 color decks if like your colors are like ridiculous or like you need to add a lot of mana. Like your commander has like an activated ability that you need to use a lot. We put this in Dean's deck because it stole creatures a lot. So like, you know, you want to be able to activate their abilities, like weird things like that. I played in Rubina for that exact reason because I steal creatures and I want to be able to activate their abilities. But yeah, so like, and then there's just like weird things that make treasures now and like things that a lot of white creatures that put things like lands into play or a lot of like white enchantments that tutor lands and like that just do a better job than most ramp spells do that just let you play your lands every turn or like you know or you look like Keeper the Cord, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Or
White has been trying its best to do a bit better. They still we just got another white creature that ETBs and draws a card with that like that cleric.
yeah, I remember who you're talking about. Yeah, but
And then
like
you look at that and you're like looking at green creatures like, yo, what's up? I draw a card for each green creature and play, bitch.
yeah, but I mean, you know, we have better than that. We have Shamanic Revelation. That's just every creature in play.
Or for the same mana cost, like was it like Grook's Uprising? Is it a 3-drop? No,
Ingrim's
Eternal
Wake.
and the Elemental Bond. That's what I meant.
Oh yeah,
You look at
Element.
or even Grook's Uprising as compared to a 3-drop, as compared to a 3-drop white creature that's like, I draw a card when I enter. I'm a 1/4.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's cute, Timmy.
And this used to be like fair green,
Yeah, that was like the best like draw 3 cards for that. And
but
you
then
like,
you look at
yeah.
you're like,
Hello, Guardian
wow.
Project in Commander.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we just have too many. I mean, and here's another topic that we're talking about. So back then, I really think
Back
it
in the
was
old
like
time.
I really think it was like Demir that was like the strongest. Maybe like maybe like even Mardu was a lot better back then. Like Mardu was just a lot stronger. And now it's like if you're not playing green, you're just incorrect. Like green or blue, honestly.
Yeah,
Like
honestly, like you feel so behind. Like, oh my god, we played 3 Simic decks, and someone was just playing like, what was he playing? I think it says playing black white, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. He literally got to do nothing all game because he's dealing with a coma.
especially if somebody's in Sultai.
No, it was coma versus Titchwillow versus Tulane, and he's playing black white. I don't even care what black white you're playing. It's just like, aren't you cute?
Yeah, unless it's like a crazy combo commander and you can win really quickly, then like trying to keep up with 3 Simic decks is impossible. Especially nowadays. And that's another thing that we can talk about is that green has turned around from like where it used to be blue and black were the best colors and then like, you
Mm.
know, still green afterwards, you know, but and then red and white, you know, as it always is, red and white being the 2 worst colors. But I mean, red's starting to push, starting to make an argument though. You know,
Yeah,
it's
no,
it's
definitely.
making a tiny argument. You know, with cards like this. You know, we got deflecting SWAT, Jessica's Will, Dockside Extortionist. They put some cute stuff out. You know, Atali. You know,
Mhm.
they make some arguments. You know, some good Chandras come out. You know, some good stuff comes out, but like it's never up to
We also
just
got, the thing is, we also got Magda and Treasures
yeah,
like out the wazoo,
yeah.
and now Magda's like the 3rd most played red deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like Duretti and Zada are like, yo, what's up? And Magda's like, know your place.
Valakut
It's
Awakening.
it's no Krenko, but like,
Yeah, no, it's definitely no Franco, but like still good, still okay. But like you can even just look at our lists and like we don't even have that many red in a lot of these like. But like man, but you know, red making a statement. and white's always, just been okay. Like, but now it's just green. Like, green is just the best color, and there's not even like an argument about it. The only time that green gets worse is when you start getting above to CDH, because green is a worse color in CDH standard rates right now. It's probably the worst color in the format right now, actually.
But it's one of the best support colors with other stuff.
Not in CDH. I'm talking about, like, when you go up to CDH, like, what do you need? Like, name something in green that, like, is important. That's like a good combo. But Kanan also has blue. And Kanan's not that.
You mean mono green?
Well, just a green card. Like that is like something that's added because you're playing green.
Sylvan Library?
Okay, that's like it. It's Sylvan Library and that's it.
And I guess
I played Tim to Thrasios. I played Tim to Thrasios for so long. Yeah, but
Birds of Paradise?
Yeah, but I have Arcane Signet.
But Birds of Paradise costs one less.
I know, but I don't really need birds because I just play all the mana rocks. And
I guess like if you're talking about like just like mono green, it'd be like the dorks basically, and that's it.
Like if we're talking about like,
I mean, Nature's Claim gets some play too.
Yeah, but that's just because that's good removal for like green because you're just playing to your colors. But there's still better.
That's your color. Like you have to play that color. Like if you're not playing that color, then that's not. You don't have to worry about it.
But like if we're talking about like these colors, like this deck just wins so much easier. Like the Thassa's Oracle, like.
Well, obviously you can't play green in a deck that doesn't have green in it.
Right, but the thing is green wouldn't make this deck any better. Like it really wouldn't. Like I don't think I'd play anything that's green in this deck other than Sylvan Library. I don't even think I'd play. I might play Birds to Paradise and that's it. But like, I play Curse Totem, so probably not. Like, but like this deck plays just fine off of like, this. But it's like ad nauseum. Like you go up to the CDH level and you really just need the blue and the black and the red nowadays because Underworld Breach.
Oh, wouldn't you want to play Carpet of Flowers? That's a really good green
card. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Carpet of Flowers would probably get played also because that card's ridiculous, especially in the CDH level. Definitely Carpet.
I think Collector Ophi might also be.
No, I have to use Mana Rocks.
Well, I mean, if you're playing if you're in a green deck, I guess you're playing Mana Rocks. Yeah.
No, this is a Mana Rock centric deck, and I need them for like the Underworld Breach, for the Underworld Breach loops because it uses Lion's Eye Diamond.
I think CDH decks kind of are like so driven into what they're trying to do that like Collector Ophi's good in a deck that doesn't run artifacts, doesn't need to. So like,
I think I'm gonna take this out next for when I get a Toxic Deluge, because right now, Derek, I cut Miscast.
What about Veil of Summer?
Yes, I would probably play Veil of Summer. Yeah.
So I think there's a decent enough. Maybe sure it's not, but I think it's what you're trying to do with.
But then you look at how much white, black, and blue I'm playing over like red and green. Like even if I could play red and green, like you
can't play red.
I could play red. Oh, I'm saying. Oh yeah, what I mean is even if I could play green. Like it, and it's just always going to be dominant blue. But I think I'm going to take G-Probe out for a Toxic Deluge because I think it's good to just have one in the deck because sometimes playing against Sigil is just rough. But also, I kept Mental Misstep over Miscast, and I am playing like Brainstorm, Ponder, Preordain, and G-Probe. But I don't know.
There's so many one drops though. That, like having that.
I also just like them because of ad nauseum. Because I could just win off of ad nauseum so easily. Like, this deck is so insanely low curved. It's ridiculous. Like, this is the only thing that's over 4 mana. I think the only other thing that's 4 mana is Jace, and that's it. I think everything else is 3 and below. I don't think that. Oh, Notion Thief. And that's it. Everything else is lower. Oh, Force of Will. And ad nauseum itself. But other than that, everything else is lower. But yeah, like green isn't 100% needed. Like at that high level, it's funny that it kind of flips. I think
there's a lot of really good green cards that like I just mentioned that like are really important and really powerful in those if you're playing that color combo.
Right, but what I'm saying is like if you want to play the best combos, you don't need green. Green isn't doing any combos, is what I'm saying. Like not like a super. No, I just mean like at like a high level, you just don't need it. Is what I'm saying.
But isn't like Tim the Thrasios like still like the best, and that has green?
It's not the best. It's Crom it's better. Grixis is better right now because of Underworld Breach. It's why I went over to that. Because when like Flash got banned for absolutely no reason, it like knocked them down to like normal level, like where all the other decks are. Because they used to be the best because they had Flash Hulk. But then when that got banned, like they just weren't the best anymore. Now they're equal with everything else. And Timna Crom is just slightly better because when we got Dockside plus Underworld Breach plus all the free counter spells, you know, it made Grixis like kind of the strongest colors in the game because you could just win off intuition because of Wheel of Fortune and Lion's Eye Diamond and Underworld Breach. It's really strong. Yeah, because there's Underworld Breach loops. Like, Underworld Breach is the easiest card to win with, and also it's just a good card if you want to play it. Like, if you just want to recur cards. But yeah. Even CDH has changed over the past 5 years. Like, I remember back when we started playing that, Derek, I was playing, like, Thalia and Jace. Now I look at what mono blue like commanders people play, and I'm like, Urza. What a way. And I played Urza. I eventually went and played Urza. And I'm like, wow, this is
Urza,
just...
Don't you mean artifacts with a blue commander? Or,
yeah,
sorry, stacks.
Exactly.
It's mono... I mean, I don't have to play mono white stacks. I can play mono blue stacks and not have it affect me.
Exactly.
Without some weird jank ways that we used to have to run.
Yeah, exactly. So, like...
And I'm sitting here playing eggs Urza, like, give me the cards.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, man, like, we have just come a long way. Like, Tom had, like, Teferi, right? And I'm just like, he's just not... Chainveil is just not as good or scary. So he went over to the first sliver.
Or how about being a mono black deck? Like, oh, man, I can't play this. Never mind, we have Kirk.
Yeah, well, well, Sidisi's still insane. And I guess Sidisi's not even that old, too. Sidisi's probably within the past 5 years, I remember. Like the Undead Vizier.
No, I think he might be a little bit older than that. That's a long time ago. That was before. I think Khans was before the second Eldrazi set that broke everything.
Sidisi's from Khans?
Yeah, that's from the Dragons.
Right.
That's actually getting kind of old now.
Yeah, you're
Remember,
right.
that was like with Theros, because I think Theros in the Khans, because we had. Remember, we had basically a junk deck with Thoughtseize.
Well, we have Violence and Razaketh also.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, those are kind of broken.
But Kirk is straight poopy crazy.
Yeah,
or Yawgmoth,
or
what Yawgmoth could do.
Yeah, like you look at those commanders and you're like, man, like these old ones, like Chainer, just look kind of poop. It's like they just win so much easier. Like,
and we have Turgid now too, if you want to be a degenerate.
That card might get banned. They've been keeping their eye on it.
I kind of hope it does. I don't like it.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people have stopped playing it in our play group because they've kind of gotten the message that people are going to murder them out of the game if they try to bring that shit to the table.
So, like, the difference in with, like, compared to Turgid is, like, if you play Turgid, you're building around it. You're not playing Turgid in your deck and not playing any sacrifice or discard cards. And even if you're not, it's still, like I said, it still stops opponents. It almost becomes a stack piece in itself because it's like, hey, I'm playing an aristocrat deck. I play Turgid. No, I'm not. I can't sack anything now because you're just going to get it.
I can't fetch a land.
Yeah. Well, I can. You're just going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, stuff like that, like, that's just normal common play. Like, there shouldn't be a reason that, like, a commander makes a terrible card like Commander Sphere even worse by just existing in the play. And then the thing is, it still builds, like, very frustrating play, like, deck styles where it's like global discard sack, like Smallpox. Yeah.
Which is like a +12 for 2 mana.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. I don't know what they were thinking with that card. Let's give it if that betrays effect for 5 mana plus discard shit.
And then you look at something on the other side where I feel like they try to calm it down with, like, Gisa, the Glorious Resurrector, which feels so much because, like, okay, I'm going to kill your creature. I get it, but it can't block. And if I attack with it, I lose at the end of the turn. And it has to, and it's only creatures that die. So it's like you sack your land, you're fine.
Yeah, but they're always like, you know, well, because a lot of the cards that we're talking about, like, are from, like, the year that they just gave 0 fucks and they just wanted to break everything. Like, and those are, like, the top played commanders currently that we were talking about, like the new ones, is they were just like, hey, these Brawl decks, we want to sell Brawl. Let's make 4 of the most broken commanders that are ever in the game of all time.
Yeah, you want to talk about Alila?
Yeah, you want to talk about Tulane, Corvold?
Mm.
That Knight dude that's really good? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Whoops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the Sire Gwyn.
Yeah, Sir Gwen. Yeah,
Sir Gwen hero at Ashvale.
Yeah.
Overtook Alicia, who smiles at death, as a commander.
Yeah, Night Boys. Or Voltron.
Edgar Markov is still sticking at the top because that deck is
broken.
That's poopy stinky.
Yeah, he's dumb.
And then we have Chu Lame.
Mm-hmm.
God, I'm just looking at this deck list. So you're like, hello, White Mane Lion, Shrieking Drake, and a bounce. See, what makes him stupid is he combos with like you play Tulane, and if you have like a cumulative 50 cents worth of cards in your hand, you can win. It's like I play White Mane Lion, which costs 25 cents, and I'll play this Simic Bounce Land or something. Or no, like Shrieking Drake, and it enters, and then I get to return it. I get to put it back into play, and I play with Tatiova, and then whenever a land enters, I can make mana, and you just go off. Yeah, and you just draw a bazillion cards for literally no reason other than lol, it's got blue-green in it.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty broken.
Got you, lame.
Yeah, but like, yeah. So, and then you look at like some of the other colors, and it's like, you know, Godo used to be really good, and even at like the CDH level, I think of like some of the old CDH commanders. It's like Anala was really good back then. I said Jace. Who else did people play back then? Like,
and also look at a card like Unhallowed Haunting.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we look, we have Sigil the Empty Throne that makes 4/4s, and Hallowed Haunting's like, heh, I cast 5 enchantments and I'm better than you already, Mr. 6-drop.
Yeah.
Oh wait, do you have 4/4s? Well, mine are now 6/6s. Oh, and all my creatures, not just my tokens.
Flying
Vigilance. They have Flying Vigilance now.
Yep.
Good luck.
Mm-hmm. It's quite a card. I mean, you have to like be playing around it, but they have been printing some broken enchantment cards. They've made that tribe way too strong, to the point where I'm starting to think that it is one of the strongest tribes in Magic.
Enchantments?
Yeah.
Yeah, because enchantments are some of the most powerful effects in the game.
Hardest to interact with.
And unless you're playing green and the instant that destroys all of them, which they can still get around.
But then you have to play that.
So many, and they've even gotten so many good new recursion. Like that was enchantment's one downfall, is that like they had like 2 good ways to get everything back that didn't affect everybody else on the board.
But a land
that was the Crystal Chimes and a $200 like sorcery. Now they're like, yo, watch this. We're going to give you an equipment that does it now.
And then it was like Open the Vaults, which does it for everybody.
Yeah, I don't like it. Then we'll give Dance the Manse. What else can we give them? We'll give them a land that does it. Yeah, let's give them a land that does it, because it's not like they draw a bazillion cards a turn.
Mm-hmm. Also, we get Balagad Recovery.
Mm-hmm. All right, we get Balagad Recovery, so we have another recursion.
Mm-hmm. Seasons
and
past.
Even just enchantment colors, like say like because just green shenanigans. Yeah, and that's another thing I thought about. Let's talk about. You want to talk about enchantments for like green white? How Sithis overtook like any type of enchantment deck for just green white, like the day it came out.
Well, because it's ridiculous.
It's a 2-mana enchantress from the command zone.
It also gains a life.
Sigarda, but like, yeah.
It also gains a life.
And what was that other card that we got?
Sanctum Weaver?
No, it's the creature. It's the equipment that brings all auras into play. I think, or is it? Is it equipment or is it enchantment?
It's an aura.
So yeah, that thing.
Mantle of the Ancients?
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that thing. We got that too.
Mm-hmm.
and equipment cards. So it's like it couldn't just do enchantments; it has to also do equipments too. I also noticed that even equipments have been getting a buff over the years. How many equipments now auto-equipped when they enter for the first time?
There's
Because
a good amount of them.
because they were so slow to equip that they now and also even look how it did standard where Embercleave for mono red decks became like a nightmare.
This is a card.
Yeah, that is a card.
I love this card. But yeah, Shrem got a mega buff. Also they printed like 3 more creatures that equip things to your creature. And like we already had a couple of them. Plus Hammer and Azan and Sigarda's Aid. So like Shrem has gotten much better. And Robe of Stars has made a huge difference. Being able to phase creatures out, I mean, if you have the ability to play white when you're playing like equipments, which you should be playing white if you're playing equipments because does everything.
Oh yeah, we got that one partner at the beginning of your combat. You could equip any number of ores. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. It's really good. And then there's also like Armory Hold on. It's like Armory Automate. Is it this thing? Yeah, this too.
Oh yeah.
So it can equip all the attachments to it. The only other guy that we used to have was Balin or like Balan.
Oh yeah, that's that weird like the cat thing or whatever that auto for 4 mana equips everything to him.
Yeah, I still play this. Because he also gets double strike when he has 2 or more equipments.
But then we got Sigarda's Aid came out. We have Daneth helps a little bit by making it cost 1 less.
Yeah, dude, I used to play Thalia with equipment, and I just had to equip it. Like, there was no good way to do it. And when I had Nahiri also, like Nahiri was a good way to equip things, but it was bad, and you had to equip them to the 1/1s.
Or we have Havlark, God of Battle is the other new one that beginning of each combat you may attach target or equipment attached to a creature you control to a target.
Yeah, most people are playing
that
Boros.
One only swaps it, so it has to already be equipped though.
Yeah, and most people are playing Boros for equipment, but I just still love my boy Shrem.
Oh, and Brass Squire is tap attach equipment you control to a target creature you control.
Yes. But I still love my boy Shrem. I like drawing cards.
Yep.
And we also got I don't know if we put him in here, but when we go to protection, Guardian of Faith? Yeah, Guardian of Faith.
Yeah.
Which is a little hard with Shram sometimes because if he is pro-white, then I can't target him. But also, like Robostars that we were talking about. What a card.
Yeah.
This is nuts. It keeps everything attached to it. Like, what a card. Shalai.
It's like, hey, what? Yeah, it's like, what's the one thing that really hurts them? Let's stop that from happening.
This changed the entire format. Hands down.
Oh, God.
This card is ridiculous. Like, this changed the entire format, for sure.
It's so hard to play around, too, because, like, they could wait till the last moment, pop it off, be like, haha, goodbye.
It's like if you don't have counterspells, like, Heroic Intervention's great, Guardian of Faith. Oop. Yeah, this
anyway, I don't want to go on too much later here, because we are getting a little bit late now.
What, it's like
9:30.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that we started, like, super late.
Yeah, because we were waiting for food to come in.
But, yeah, so, like, I'm just trying to think, like, yeah, so the past 5 years, like, Commander has definitely changed a lot. Like, even some of the tutors, like, we look at, like, Beseech the Queen, and we're like, I don't see people play that really as much, unless it's, like, a full-blown, like, I need to play every tutor of all time, or as a Keth, I win on, like, turn 3, kind of, bullshit. But it's just, like, you look at cards like Great Henge, or, like, Green has just, like, gone ahead. Beast Whisperer, Return of the Wild Speaker, Shamanic Revelation, like, Seasons Past, Garruk's Uprising, like, better, like, reprinting some of the land ramp and giving us, like, new ways to ramp lands, like Heroic Intervention. Like, it's just, like, Green has just gotten so good at drawing and staying in the game. And their removal is not bad. Like, Beast Within, Song of the Dryads, Kenrich's Transformation, all really good cards that, play with that. Balagan Recovery is really good. Like, Green has just gotten too much, man. Eldegargari, my boy.
Mm-hmm.
The boy, the man, the myth, the legend. It's become the color. Nyxbloom Ancient, that's a card. I heard Nyxbloom Ancient's okay, Derek.
Yeah, so I've heard.
I've heard he's decent. But yeah, so I think Commander has changed a heck in a lot. And there are some commanders that I just don't see anymore. Marchesa, like, I don't really see Kalia as much anymore unless it's like just like a for fun deck. Like, I don't see those like old commander, like, I don't really see Marchesa anymore.
Or how about a Jund deck that isn't Korvold?
Yeah, do those exist?
I mean, you have the mana, the mana.
I've seen Prosh. I've seen Prosh.
And your
what?
luck.
What dude? You're yeah. Right. Yeah, but a lot of people don't play him. It's mainly just like Korvold.
Yeah, or if you want to talk about like besides Gish, like Naya colors, I feel like besides dinosaurs, like when's the last time you've seen a Manarath deck?
People used to play. What was her name? Not Mael.
Yeah, Mael.
Yeah, that used to be the big one. People, I mean, she's still cool, but it was like Golos came out, and it's like, why play her when you could go 5-colored and do the exact same thing, or just play Gruul and play Svella, and he's 100 times better. Like, because Gruul, I want to say that Gruul has become like the best at casual level. Like, Teamer is so stinking good at casual level that it's just insane. Like, it's gotten so good with everything that they have printed and just being able to beat face. I'd say like Teamer and Sultai, like that is just where it's at.
Like, imagine like a Teamer like Cascade deck, like the power of your Cascade deck, but you get to add like the extra color in it and get to add like Maelstrom Wanderer Shenanigans. Yeah. And just go like sit there and like diddle yourself for like 2 hours.
Oh, totally.
As we watch.
And then there are some commanders that still just stood the test of time, like, Thrasios, Yidris, some are just always going to be broken ass commanders that are not going away. Mikaeus, like they're always just going to be good. They're always going to be broken, But
like Kess is probably going to always be around. Krenko will always be around.
Yeah, but how old is Kess?
Kess has been around for a long time.
When did
it was one of the original commanders from a commander deck. Yeah, it was Commander 2017.
Oh, so
its first printing.
So that's
the commander.
Going to be 5 years old. Damn. I forgot she's that old. That's like she came out with the wizard deck, right? Inala.
No, because I thought Inala was the deck. I think she was the 2017 commander decks.
Yeah, it was Inala, right? She came out in Inala, right?
No, because I don't think that's...
I think that's 2017. Yeah, that's 2017.
Oh yeah, I guess that is where it's
she was one of the alternate. She was one of the alternates.
But then on the other side, like I said, Krenko has been around for a long ass time. Animar has been around for a long ass time. Nekuzar has been around for a long time.
Animar, did you say Animar?
Yeah.
Yeah. Animar's never going anywhere. Omnath too.
Oh yeah, and Aloro has been around for a long time too.
Mm-hmm. And then people upgraded to the new Niv-Mizzet from Ravnica. Because he's just like 100 times better.
Yeah.
Like they're not even in a contest with each other.
God, playing him feels so good. I love playing him.
He's filthy.
Even just like my for funsies deck, because I just sit there and like I said, the one guy was trying to play his black-white deck, which is kind of like a politics deck kind of deck, and he was like, "Who wants to draw 3 cards?" I'm like, "Hey, if you let me draw 3 cards, casting that spell, it's 4 cards. I could deal 4 damage to Kyle's commander and kill it before it gets out of control again." And he's like, "Okay." And then he's like, "Who wants to draw cards again?" He's like, "You do." Cool. Additional cost, sack a creature. I'm like, "I'm going to counterspell that." He's like, "What, man? Why I want to help him out." I was like, "Nah, me only. I'm gonna draw a card."
That's great. But yeah, dude, these green cards, my god. But yeah, moral of the story, I think as far as the colors go right now, I'd put green as top dog. And then maybe it's really close between blue and black. I think blue has become a really good support color.
Yeah,
And
mono blue is really hard unless you're really focusing on like a certain theme.
yeah,
Of like
definitely mono black is better. Like as a mono color.
like you're either going artifacts or like wizard tribal, honestly.
And then red has really come around the like if you're playing a creature deck, red is so good right now.
Mm.
Like there's just so many like Terror of the Peaks. What is that card?
Yeah, remember when there was an enchantment that a creature had to be 5 or greater power for it to do that effect?
Mm-hmm. And
Where
then with
Ancients Tread?
yeah. Oh god, yeah, you're right. Rhythm of the Wild, like oh my goodness, like it's just like the murder colors. Like it's just like why not play green, because you just look down the list and like we're just looking at all the green cards that just let you draw. Like you look at Rishkar's Return, Regal Force, like Soul of the Harvest, like the Great Henge, like Sylvan Library. Like it's like why not play green with the creature deck? It plays with the creature decks well, like Guardian Project, the Garruk's Uprising. Like there's just way too much. Like it's way too much. Like it's to a point where it's like is green better at drawing than blue? I don't know. Find out next time.
I think green might actually. I think green's better at generically without paying X mana at drawing more than one card. Where I think blue is better at like small intermediate draws.
Mm-hmm.
Because unless you're going blue Sun Zenith, it's like, okay, this spell draws me 2 card, or this triggers and draws me a card. This trigger draws me a card. Green's like, I put my deck on the table and I draw 50 cards.
Yep, it's true.
Because think about it, what like 2-3 mana green spell that we have that's just like besides like explores, just like draw a card. They don't do it. They're like 5 mana, draw 50 cards.
It's true.
If conditions are met.
Yeah, if conditions are met, must eat neighbor, draw 38 cards. Like
neighbor looking real sexy right now.
Mm-hmm. But like it's just like it's really flopped around because Dimir used to be the boogeyman. Like Dimir and like Grixis and Mardu decks used to be like the boogeyman, and like they used to be the strongest, have the best combos. Like and like now it's like Sultai and Temur, or like Rule, or like like green black, or like it's just like if you're not playing blue or green, it just feels so hard to play nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Because like they just feel so important for the strategy. And honestly, it's just getting to the point where I'm just starting to learn that like blue, like playing 2 or 3 colored decks is just where you got to live now. Like it's just so hard to be the monocolored player unless the commander's broken and does something easily. But yeah. Anyway, moral of the story: Commander has changed a ton. Rip cards like Insurrection. Rip cards like Thran Dynamo. Rip cards like Commander Sphere.
Well, here's the thing about Insurrection. Like, I feel like there's so many ways to interact now that, like, playing that card, people are just going to end up either removing stuff or tapping stuff down or bouncing stuff or just countering it. That, like, do you really want to spend all that mana to go into an Insurrection? Because you're probably not going to get anything out of it, and you're just going to waste your turn.
Right, or you get Teferi's Protection, and then the player that has all the creatures is just murdering you on the crackback.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's just a million ways to do it. Like, people play cute things, like, or it's just really hard to win after taking all the creatures. Like it doesn't do enough is what I'm saying nowadays. And a lot of the time people just aren't playing a lot of creatures unless like the deck is kind of built around it or makes a mass of creatures like a landfall deck. But then again, most landfall decks you are just going to get counterspelled anyway because most of them are Simic. So like good luck with that, honestly.
Isn't there also a land that makes everybody regain control of their own creatures?
Bonder's Enclave, yeah. No. Not Bonder's Enclave. It's
Homeward Path.
Homeward Path. Yeah.
This player gaining control of all creatures he or she owns. So like, we even have just a land that sits there. It's like, you're gonna do what? No, what the fuck, boy? No, you ain't.
Yeah, exactly. So like, stealing things has just gotten very different. Like it's why more things like the what's that pirate that can just permanently steal things?
Oh, it's a rogue. The 7-drop creature.
Yeah,
Agent of Treachery.
Agent of Treachery. Yeah, like the permanent stealing is just so much better. Like I've always like cards like Mind's Dilation. I think is better for these kind of formats.
Or
Like
the ones that like the theft cards that let you actually cast it because then you
Right.
get to keep it forever.
Yeah, and I think more people just learn that cards like Tooth and Nail are just so much better than like a card like Insurrection or just playing Expropriate. Luckily, we don't really have a lot of people that just use Expropriate. Like we have people that have taken extra turn decks, but then that they're playing the deck and like it's not just like they're playing Expropriate and winning. Like that card's kind of fallen off a little bit, and most of us have taken extra turn spells out of our decks for the most part. I don't really get extra turned against me really anymore at our store anyway. But like, that's just our store in particular.
Yeah.
Unless like we know that the deck's happening. Like we have one player that still has an Emoti deck that's a take an extra turn spell deck. And that is so gross. But
I mean, I had mine and I took it apart. Like mine was like thrown together for fun in like just Sultai colors, and it was so easy, so easy because you just ramp and you get like it's so easy. Like, did I get the 5 mana? Well, watch this.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like Narset, like I'm not as scared as at Narset anymore.
No, because like we have so many ways to get around it. Like if she goes off, she goes off, but it takes its time. It's not like I guess it also depends if you're not playing like turbo turn version of her, where like I'm gonna cast like 3 extra turn spells, or extra combat spells. Anyway, dude.
Yeah, but all right, it's been fun. Commanders changed, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yep, we'll see you next time, and have a good night. And okay, bye. I love you.
Yep. Bye, everybody.